Kayla, how are we doing?
I have been dealing with some dysfunction in my family, mainly an issue with my mother.
Yep. Hey, do me a favor. Take a breath.
Yeah.
I can already hear it on you, and I don't even know what you're about to ask. I can already hear it on you. Take a big breath and take a big breath and exhale, okay? All right. I'm with you.
Thank you. She uses suicide as a manipulation tool with me and my family members.
Okay. Tell me about the most recent one.
It wasn't with me directly. It was with another family member, and I heard it through them.
What was the context?
They're dealing with their relationship, and I'm just being there for them. But she kind of used it to end in that conversation and in that interaction. I can't exactly remember the exact content because I heard it secondhand, but it was kind of like, well, I'm just going to go kill myself. And then she leaves the room.
Has she ever attempted suicide before, or is this just a move?
No, I believe it's just a move. She's used it repetitively. I could say probably a handful of times over the years. But I know this year, and it has gotten progressively worse. Mm-hmm. And I think I've just been more aware of it because I've been listening to your show, and I've read boundaries, and I just want to know how to respond this way by still giving her love and support.
Sure. So first, I want to just thank you for having just a beautiful heart. You're a good human being, and the world needs more Kaylas in it.
Thank you.
Because the temptation here is to write mom off, or the temptation here is just to be a doormat, and you are taking the hard, messy, right road, which is to navigate all of it. Protect your heart, protect your mind, protect your family, and also love your mom the best you can, the best you'll allow, right? So good for you, Kayla. Mm-hmm. What is outside of the suicide threats, what is your relationship like with your mom? Do y'all go hang out, have coffee together? Do you see each other regularly? Do y'all call once a week? What's it look like?
We're still developing that daily interaction. I have put it on myself to kind of reach out to my parents every week and just kind of give them a call on the weekend. Okay. It's something that I have struggled to do with in the past, and I've recently just moved home. So,
moved home in the same town, or moved home back to their house?
Just closer proximity.
Okay. All right. Why are you the one reaching out to them? Do they not want to talk to you and they just tolerate you, or do they have other dysfunction going on in their marriage?
Yes. My dad will reach out to me. I think my mom just struggles with reaching out. Okay. I know she's going through some things. I know my parents are going through things. Going through,
are they going through marriage issues? Are they going through money issues? Are they getting divorced? What are they going through?
We recently lost a family member.
I'm so sorry.
So I think that's been hitting them hard.
Yeah.
My sister. So.
Oh, your sister passed away recently?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Gosh, Kayla, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
So, our family has gone through a lot of change.
Yeah. That so sucks. I'm so sorry. So tell me about your dad. He's a good guy? You love him?
He's good. He's strong, but he's also going through, this past year we've had to be there for him because he's been going through some mental self challenges. He struggles with depression and bipolar for years. And this year, just with the loss of my sister, I think has hitting him a lot harder. Yep. He's doing better now. Yeah. But so.
Okay. So give me a couple more questions here. How old are you?
In my 30s.
Okay. And are you married? You got kids of your own?
I'm married. I don't have any kids.
No, married, no kids? Okay. Mm-hmm. So here's a couple of things. We're going to start way back and then we'll get kind of granular, okay? Number one, I want you to get with your husband. If he is trustworthy in this way. Not to say that he's not trustworthy, but that some people are just good at this and some aren't. And that's not a knock on him. It's just this is a skill. And if he's not the right one, I want you to get with a couple of girlfriends. I think it'd be good to include him if you can. Even if you say, I want you to be a part of this, but I don't want you to say any words. And my wife has done that with me, actually. I want you to mourn the loss of the picture of your parents. Okay? And I want you to actually own that the fantasy of, and I don't say fantasy negatively, but the picture that you had of them walking alongside you as you got older is going to be very, very different. And you don't know what that's going to look like, but it's going to be different. You have a dad who's struggling with bipolar and deep, deep depression over the loss of his daughter and the challenges in his marriage. You've got a mom who's got a lifetime of connection and being married to someone with bipolar disorder who lost her daughter, and all of the big and little T traumas that go along with that. Your parents have a lot on their hearts and minds, and you've got to just put a period at the end of that sentence. Okay?
Yeah.
And owning that and dropping your shoulders down and letting that be truth is going to hurt, and it's going to suck, and it's going to be heavy, and it's something that you got to do. Okay?
Okay.
It may look like writing them a letter that says, here's what I remember. Here's what I wish my childhood had looked like. Here's what I loved about you guys. And then ending that letter with the section on here's who I'm going to be. In light of the way y'all raised me, here's in light of the woman I'm growing up to be, the wife I'm growing up to be, here's who I'm going to be. And what you're going to do there is you're going to acknowledge the good stuff. You're going to nobly acknowledge the bad stuff. And then you're going to set a trajectory for where you're headed. Okay? That's number one. Number two is sitting down with your mom. If your dad's got bipolar and he doesn't take his meds and he's not willing to be cognitively engaged, it doesn't help to have him a part of the conversation. If he does, if he is, like you said, doing better, he is taking his medication, he's working hard, to do the things he knows he needs to do to stay well, it would be great to have him a part of the conversation. But you have a conversation with both of them and you are full within your right as a child, as an adult, to have this conversation. And say, Mom, I cannot have you threatening suicide ever again.
Okay.
That has to stop. And let her know, you are wrecking me, you're wrecking your other kids. It hurts us when you threaten. We cannot lose somebody else in this family. If you are struggling, Mom, if you need help, if you don't like our decisions, tell us that. But you cannot threaten suicide anymore. And the or is this, or I will call 911 every time. And I will tell them that my mom is threatening to kill herself, and she just hung up the phone on me, and she won't answer the phone back. And they will send ambulances, and they will send the whole cavalry. Your mom's going to be on the hook financially for it. And she needs to know that people care about her and do not play around with that. Okay? If she says, oh, honey, you know I would never do that. You know I just say it when I get mad. Then that's when you also respond with, that is not acceptable. That is not an acceptable threat. That is not an acceptable joke. That's not an acceptable, well, I'm just mad. I'm going to start taking it seriously every time from this point forward and let her know I don't have the skills to handle that. I'm not trained as a psychotherapist. I'm not trained as a medical professional. So I will call 911 every time. Period. And letting her know up front, here's how we're going to do that. And I think framing it as, I do not want to lose another family member. I love you guys.
Yeah.
And you are well within your right to draw that boundary. Do you feel like you can have that conversation?
I think it's something that I have been known that I need to work up towards.
Okay.
And I might have to include my husband with that because I have a feeling it will not go over well or it will blow up later.
Okay. Here's the thing. It might. And all you can control in this deal is you. Right?
Yes.
And once you draw a boundary, it's your responsibility to uphold your side of the fence, right? And think about it logically, and it's hard to. Think about it just facts and figures wise. If somebody says, that's just who I am, and a part of being in a relationship with me is accepting that I threaten suicide every once in a while. Right? That doesn't sound right.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know it's your mom, and so backing out of it and hearing it that way, it's like, what? No, right? And owning both to yourself and to her. I don't know what to do when someone says that. So I'm just calling the people who are trained to intervene every time, 100% of the time. And I need you to hear me say what I'm about to say, and this is going to be a hard thing to hear, and it's going to be a hard thing to say, but I'm going to be honest with you, okay?
Yeah.
If your mom does go on to hurt herself, if she does one day take her life, that will not be your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Do you promise that you hear that from me?
Yeah.
That will not be your fault. Your responsibility is to be honest with your mom, to be loving towards your mom, and to make sure that to the extent that you can, that medical professionals and emergency professionals know when she needs help.
Mm-hmm.
But if your mom ends up doing that, that will not be on you. Okay?
Okay.
And making that space for yourself psychologically is important. Doesn't sound like she's ever even attempted it, so anything you've told me so far doesn't make me think that's imminent. But I always think that's important to put out there. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So the challenge is going to be, number one, mourning the loss of this picture. And sometimes into our 30s and 40s, we finally go, oh, this isn't going to happen. Right? This isn't going to look like I thought it was going to look. And having to sit down and be okay with that. And sometimes that's a 1 hour letter, you write it and you just feel a million times better. Sometimes it's a process. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 people sitting around a campfire to talk about it. And sometimes it takes a couple of months with a counselor to work through it. But going through the mourning process, that your picture is going to look different. Your picture, Kayla, is going to look different. And then getting the courage, getting the space to have that hard conversation is going to be critical. And if your husband's going to help that conversation, great. If he's going to complicate it and make it harder, then maybe he doesn't need to be there. But if he's going to assist that, your mom would love to have him there. Be there. Plan this event. Don't just spring it on him. And if your dad's in a well space, make sure he's there too. But my heart's with you, Kayla. I know it sucks. I hate that you lost your sister. I get a sense that you and I could talk for a while, and you've got a history of some stories you could probably just lay out sequentially that would suggest you've had a tough road to hoe, and I'm heartbroken for you. And I'm also proud of you for making the hard decision to draw boundaries, to love your mom, and to still move forward. So good for you, Kayla.